Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book that he's read this week. So what have I read this week? Well, back to fiction this week after last week's autobiography review. And the book I'm looking at this week, just released in the UK, came out on the 3rd of February 2023, is called The Only Suspect by author Louise Candlish. Now, I have to fess up that I wasn't familiar with this author. But upon a bit of research, this is Louise's 16th novel. They've all been very well received, and in fact the cover helpfully tells us that one of her previous novels, Our House, has been turned into a TV series by a broadcaster here in the UK. So a writer with a good pedigree. One of the reasons I set up this YouTube channel was, well, partly because I'm retired and I've now got more time to do stuff I always wanted to do, but partly because I wanted to broaden my reading experience. I typically read things like Lee Child and John Grisham and not a lot else. So I'm glad that, doing this channel has helped me discover some new authors. And this book is a very good book. I really enjoyed it. It's a psychological thriller. So what's it all about, I hear you say? Well, we've got two stories, two timelines. The first is in the present day. It's a guy called Alex. He lives in the burbs. He's a middle-aged civil servant. Lives in a place called Silver Vale, which is in the suburbs of London, married to Beth, so it's him and Beth and their dog Olive. Alex likes to keep himself to himself. He's quite a private person, considers himself a good husband, good neighbour, but not on social media, doesn't really get that much involved with the community. His wife Beth is the opposite. She's involved in lots of community projects, and in particular a project that involves reopening a nature trail that's behind their houses. It's been overgrown and derelict for years, and her and a group of friends have been trying to persuade the authorities to reopen it and make it a proper nature trail. Their campaign slogan is that persistence beats resistance. And sure enough, the book opens with her Beth telling Alex that things have been approved and they're going to reopen the nature trail. Alex isn't too happy about this because he knows some dark secrets concerning that nature trail relating to his past. So all of a sudden, Alex is somewhat agitated. As that story of Alex and Beth progresses, he's further agitated by the arrival in their house of one of Beth's friends, Zara, who's pregnant and needs somewhere to live. The old adage of two's company, three's a crowd is absolutely outlined in this, and Alex feels all of a sudden he's got the pressure of problems with the past and then Zara arriving, so Alex has got a lot on his plate. The other story that runs in parallel is set in 1995. This is a guy called Rick. Rick works as an auditor in London. In the same building there are several other companies, insurance companies, whatever. And one day over a frozen blueberry yogurt in a local cafe, he meets a young lady that is working as a temp in one of the insurance companies in the same building and falls for her. The lady's called Marina, and it turns out that Marina has a somewhat complicated life. And as Rick finds out, he never gets to go to her house once they start a relationship, and it turns out she's married, got an abusive husband, trying to get away from him, etc. So we've got those two stories running along. Rick initially lives on his own, but then shares a flat with an old posh mate called Rollo. And those stories chug along nicely. We then get to a stage where there's a major twist in the tale, a major twist in the story, where just when you think clearly those two stories are going to be related, just when you think that you've got a handle on what's going on, there's a major twist in the tale, and somewhat later another twist in the tale. So this is a very well-written psychological thriller. The other thing bear in mind about this is that none of these characters are very likeable. Yet, however, the author makes you wonder what's going on, and certainly with the twist in the tale, you're thinking, hang on, which bits of those previous assumptions are right and which aren't. So it makes you think. Absolutely great read. I really enjoyed it. It's 424 pages. I read it in 2 sessions. Really enjoyed it. Great psychological thriller, lots of twists and turns, very easy read. I'd give it 8 out of 10. I'd recommend it. So that's it for this week's brief book review. As I said, just come out, available in all good bookshops and online, of course. So that's it for this week's brief book review. 10/10 till we do it again. See you next week.